All right, notes taken care of. Background, little bit of weird background space. I think we are all set. Hey there guys, Morty here. Back at you again with another video, I suppose. This is my first video in like ages, and honestly I have no excuse for why I've been gone. I just haven't had a camera to be able to make videos with that I've been happy with, at least. It's either been my iPhone or a friend's camera, so now I finally have my own, and I felt compelled to make a video, amongst other reasons. We're kind of in the midst of the entire COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak, and I thought that instead of just sitting around playing video games, doing that kind of thing, I thought it would be nice to actually make a video, do something a little bit productive. I just felt this urge to make something, and I've wanted to make something about Acronym for a while, but I really haven't been able to kind of make something that I'm happy with or make something that I think is cool. But now that I have a little bit of the technical stuff underway, and I have, I guess like a bit more of a full collection, I thought it would be a fun idea to do little individual videos that go over individual pieces of my collection, in depth, that kind of thing, whether they're very sought after pieces or not. I just thought it would be an interesting way of documenting some of the acronym pieces I have, because like other designers out there, and like other esteemed designers at least, they have a very specific fan base, and they have a really interesting, detailed and niche catalog that I think is worth going over. So I thought I would go over my acronym jacket that I have here today first, but then go into some of the other pieces of my collection down the line. There's not a lot of acronym videos out there. I know Antoine and Corbin and a couple of other smaller YouTubers have posted videos about their individual pieces, but I thought it would be just a cool idea to go over mine and catalog them myself. I like making videos. I thought it'd be a fun little thing to do. So enough about me. Let me get into some stuff. I think since this is my first video on Acronym, I think it'd be worth it to talk about a little bit about what it is if you're kind of logging in and you don't really know what it is coming into this video. The best way that I could describe it is that Acronym is a company that was co-founded by Errolson Hugh, the main kind of face of the brand, and Michaela Sockenbacher, his now ex-girlfriend, but co-founder nonetheless. Acronym started in Germany after Errolson and Michaela had graduated from college there for fashion design. The brand then went on to consult for Burton and a bunch of other European snowboarding brands all the way from 1992 to about 2002. And then in 2002, they had their inaugural Kit 1, which included a jacket, a messenger bag, a soundtrack, and I believe manuals or CDs that told you about how to use the jacket. So it was kind of like a concept car of the day in terms of clothing. It was released at a few very specific retailers, one being the now gone Colette, as well as Stash's store at the time, and a few other stores as well. But it was the first kind of breakthrough for Acronym as a bona fide clothing brand. But now, since 2002, 18 years later, they have come out with multiple collections. They have multiple jackets, multiple pairs of pants. They've done multiple collaborations with Nike, as well as doing consulting work for Arc'teryx, which now has Arc'teryx Valence, a sub-label that Errolson helped consult for. Errolson also started Stone Island Shadow Project, which is now being headed by some of his co-workers who work at the Acronym studio. And yeah, the Acronym brand has had such a huge effect on fashion at large, kind of combining industrial design philosophy with fashion and mixing it in a way that not a lot of brands have done before. Maybe you might have seen it from Stone Island, maybe you've seen it in other places, but Acronym has always kind of been at the cutting edge when it comes to fashion and function mixing together. And I think that's a huge reason that I really like the brand nowadays. Errolson also has a lot of environmentalist thoughts that I kind of confide in, and a lot of the ideas and ethos that the brand carries when it comes to having something that you can wear now, that you can wear for 10 years, repair, a wabi-sabi of sorts, I'll put a definition here, is something that I can really get behind. And that's why I've started collecting Acronym and really kind of fallen in love with it. A lot of the designs and a lot of the actual fashion aspect of things tends to lean on the more dystopic side. It obviously has inspiration from martial arts as well and Errolson's Chinese culture. But on top of that, it does a really good job of having avant-garde silhouettes in some cases that can then be combined with technical functionality and stuff that you might want out of a clothing brand, which I think is really cool. Well, I just babbled for about 30 minutes and I saw that it wasn't recording. So that's awesome. But yeah, that's how it goes. I now feel this pain that other YouTubers go through. Long story short about Acronym, it was founded in 1992, started off as a snowboarding consulting brand. They did their first kit in 2002 where it was sold to specific retailers. Since then, they've come up with a plethora of jackets, a plethora of pants, and everything in between, and have always maintained a cutting edge when it comes to fashion and functionality in the same sentence. And for that, I really, really love the brand. There's a lot of other specific details about Acronym that you can find on your own, but it's a really cool brand. That's why I collect it. I think before I get into the details of the jacket itself, I think that kind of giving information about the acronyms themselves is important. Acronym gives their entire catalog of clothes acronyms so that they can be distinct from one another. They have jackets, they have pants, they have t-shirts, they have hoodies, they have bags, and all of these individual items are given an acronym so that you can look at them or find them in the catalog, and I think it's worth detailing. If you look at it for the first time, it seems like a lot of gibberish, but if you understand how exactly the acronym works, it honestly starts to make a lot of sense and is user-friendly as you get more used to it over time. So this piece right here is the S-J30. The way that that works is that S stands for Stotts, which is the material quality of the jacket itself. It is made of a Ventile cotton called Stotts, so that stands for the S right there. J is for jacket. And 30 is the 30th jacket design that they've done. So J30 means jacket 30 and S means Stotts. It's pretty simple. A lot of their other individual items are different acronyms, obviously. One of the more popular items that Acronym makes is the J1A GT, which is the jacket 1. It's the first jacket that they made. A, I think it means alpha, which is the more detailed variant. There's a J1B, and that's really a simple, clean-cut design. And then GT is Gore-Tex. So you can use this for a lot of other items that they have. They have NGAK, which means neck gaiter. The list goes on, but those are what the acronyms mean for Acronym jackets. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about my SJ30. Another note is that it's SJ30, but a lot of current jackets are given their material quality in the second half of the name. So this is the SJ30, but a lot of jackets nowadays are like J1A GT, meaning that back during this day it would have been GT J1A. I hope that makes some sense. It sounds like gibberish as I'm talking about it, but I just want to get that out of the way before I get into the jacket details. I hope that all makes sense. Okay, I'm losing natural lighting. We'll make it work, all right? So I've gone over the acronyms, I've gone over the history. Let me get into the actual jacket itself. If we look at some of the outside details of the jacket, you can see that it's a pretty sleek, pretty clean looking design. It's their interpretation of a car coat, which is just a knee-length jacket that is a bit more of a historical piece, kind of like a pea coat or something similar. A car coat's just the jacket that you wear when you're in the car. Bada bing, bada boom. But this is Acronym we're talking about, so it's got its own unique details and functionalities to it. It's got the car coat length, yes, but in terms of detail and design, it looks something way more akin to what you would see on set at The Matrix, or something that you might see in terms of like traditional Chinese wear with the high Mandarin collar and the asymmetrical zipper detailing on the front. It's got a high collar and it's got an asymmetrical zipper on the front. If we look immediately out from the collar, we've got unique Acronym shoulder detailing that I think is worth note. If we look at like my t-shirt, for example, this is relatively unique, but it has a pretty common shoulder seam detailing on it. It has a seam that runs from the neck down to where the sleeve is sewn on, and that's pretty much it. A lot of jackets, a lot of garments have that type of sleeve slash shoulder detailing, but Acronyms is a little bit unique. It comes immediately out of the collar to the shoulder, but once it reaches the shoulder, it actually goes down instead of connecting to the sleeve, and shows that the garment is actually kind of like one full body in terms of the cotton construction. So the entire back is sewn onto the sleeves, and it's a unique detail nonetheless. I believe that it gives a wider range of motion because of the overall range of motion detail that Acronym tries to instill into their individual garments. If the shoulder detail didn't necessarily give that wider range of motion, you'd definitely see it in the elbows, which is where I think some of the more unique detailing is. If we look at the back of the elbow, it's actually got this kind of rhomboid shape that we see right where your elbow lies. This individual patch darts off in a bunch of different directions and kind of sets up a like an anchor point for the elbow itself. This allows a really wide range of motion when you're wearing the jacket, and it allows it so that the sleeve stays static on your arm in all cases, instead of riding up when you kind of lift your arm like this, and it keeps it covered, but it also allows you to be able to move without fear of your jacket riding up or ripping, what have you, while also staying profile to your body. It's a unique detail, something that Acronym is known for, and it's just kind of implicit in the design itself. I think in terms of other more just kind of outright noticeable details that you'd see but aren't necessarily typical to an Acronym jacket, might be the flak pocket that we have here on the sleeve. This is reminiscent of like bomber jackets that have a sleeve pocket, but this is pretty unique in itself. The design is diagonal, so it sits at a pretty user-friendly angle for you to be able to reach in and get whatever you need. The pocket itself is relatively large and is meant to fit a notepad, but I use it for my sunglasses personally. Really good for not keeping the sunglasses crushed and all weird in a other part of your jacket or on your person, so I like having it there. The jacket also has two pencil pockets that you can obviously put pencils or pens in, really denoting that the main pocket is for a notepad or something similar if you're trying to take notes, what have you. I've done this, it works well, but it is kind of my go-to sunglasses pocket. So now that I've broken down all the kind of more implicit or outright obvious design details, I think I'm going to get into some of the individual acronym functionalities that make the jacket Acronym. These acronym details or jackets that you might see across other Acronym jackets and kind of make an Acronym jacket an Acronym jacket. And I think that it's worth getting into the very specific details about what these do and how they kind of enhance the user experience, I should say. So starting from the bottom going up, almost on every Acronym jacket, we've got Velcro cuffs. These just allow it so that you can have a more rectangular, a little bit more of a wider sleeve if you want to have more hand coverage, but you can also tighten it around your hands so you have a more profile fit and so that your sleeve's not getting caught up in whatever you're doing with your hands. Very nice. The wideness of the sleeve ends up being a part of another detail, which is the gravity pockets. The gravity pockets, honestly, probably one of my favorite Acronym functionalities out of all of them. It's kind of a party trick, but it's also got a certain level of functionality to it that I can't deny. For that reason, I think it's probably my favorite functionality. Long story short, if you've had a snowboarding jacket, you probably know that there's going to be sleeve pockets on your jacket. These are just good for easy access and keeping a lot of stuff on you at the same time. So this jacket has that functionality with an AquaGuard zip, so you know water's getting in there. But then on top of that, the pocket itself that takes up half of your arm also has a button on the inside of the sleeve. And when this button is popped on the inside of the sleeve, whatever's in this pocket can just fall right out of the sleeve itself. Super cool. I'll have a video of me or Errolson doing it right here. Honestly, it's like a great party trick, and I love being able to use it because it works functionally, but it also just gets so many cool reactions whenever you do it. I particularly use my phone for it, but it's also great for AirPod case if you've got those, sunglasses, keys, what have you. And with the full 3/4 length that this car coat has, it's actually really nice to be able to use these pockets because the jacket itself kind of covers your hand pockets. So being able to keep your phone in there, but then keep your hands in your jacket body pockets and just kind of have that ease of access is super fun. And I love using it for that reason. So yeah, those are the gravity pockets, a very cool Acronym functionality. As we move up the jacket here, I guess let's move inside the jacket here. We've got these kind of welt style hand pockets. Honestly, should have talked about this in the first portion because they are kind of implicit jacket functionalities, but we're gonna get into it now. These are like a welt pocket that has a flap to them, and then inside the flap itself you have these hand pockets that you can use that keep your hands nice and close to your belly. The pockets themselves have another AquaGuard zip, so if you want to keep them zipped up profile and not getting any water into them, you can use them if you want. But yeah, just a nice little hand pocket detailing. I think the actual design of the pockets themselves harkens towards Acronym design functionality, being this sort of flap detail as well as the AquaGuard zipper. Can't go wrong with it, and it's a really cool little detail. As we move even further inside the body, the zipper itself is an Acronym functionality. The way that this functionality works is that you can zip up the jacket asymmetrically like I mentioned earlier, but then on top of that, if we get up to the very top of the zipper can break and peel open. It's called an escape zipper. And the way that the escape zipper works is that if you're in a kind of high stress situation, or if your body isn't necessarily in a completely straight position to zip it down in a more typical manner, you can pop the top of the zipper, peel it open, and be able to open up the jacket accordingly. Other Acronym jackets use the escape zip a little bit more vigorously. Those are called the vehicular exit zippers, but this works really well, and it's a very kind of nice, simple detail that I think is worth mentioning as well. I end up using it a lot when I'm sitting down into my car with the zipper completely done up. If I want to peel the jacket open, it's going to be really hard because the structure of the coat makes the jacket kind of muffin top on itself and doesn't give me a really clean, easy way to unzip it in the more typical sense. But if I pop the top of the zipper and peel it open, I can get the jacket open way quicker than I would if I was just doing it in a more, typical way. So really cool detail, something that you might find on a lot of other Acronym jackets. I know that this is this is a favorite for a lot of people, and it looks really cool and it's really easy to use. So another really nice detail. If we get up to the top, there's two little Velcro patches that are right around the neck. This kind of implies the modularity that Acronym goes for with their garments. But what we see on the jacket right now is a bit of logo tape, some of the only logoing in terms of the jacket that you might see on an Acronym jacket, besides the little elbow details that I will get into momentarily. But there's logo tape on one side, and then there's the mag tape on the other. The mag tape's pretty simple. It's just got two magnets inside the Velcro patch, and the way that it works is that if you have a pair of headphones that have a little bit of metal in them, the headphones will attach to the mag tape accordingly, allowing you to take the headphones out of your ears and attach them to your collar. Pretty simple, pretty nice detail, a little bit extra to be completely honest, but it's a detail that I like to use nonetheless. Typically when I'm coming up to a counter at a restaurant and I'm ordering something and I just need to pop my headphones out, I love sticking them to the collar because it keeps them untangled from the rest of what I've got going on, and just kind of has this sleek look and sleek functionality that is really easy to use. Honestly, this detail came out before the big boom of AirPods and Bluetooth headphones. And funny enough, since then, now that we have AirPods and Bluetooth headphones, this detail has honestly become even more functional and even more fun to use. AirPods can be attached to the collar, obviously. And because AirPods don't have a cord or anything attached to them, they end up finding themselves anchored on the collar a lot easier than how it was for me when I used it with corded headphones. Corded headphones were nice, but because a cord would run to your backpack or run to something on your body that, has a little bit of weight, a cord can get some motion and just yank off of the mag tape pretty easily. But if you have AirPods, those aren't attached to anything and they're more isolated. The way that they stick to the magnets is way easier and way nicer, like more simple to use. And while you do have to be very careful that, you don't just knock it and it falls off and boom, your headphone's gone, I find that I don't have to worry about that nearly as much because the headphones are way, way, way more sturdy if they're AirPods connected to that mag tape compared to a corded headphone. So that's my little tirade. But mag tape works really, really well nowadays, and you get a lot of comments on it when your AirPods are just stuck to your collar and you're just kind of sitting there with these little white earrings that are right there on your neck. Pretty cool. For the final detail, honestly, for the final details, there's two left. Let me get into them quickly. There's a jacket sling on the inside of the jacket, and honestly, that might be one of the most noteworthy things that Acronym jackets have is their jacket sling. I can only probably think about like 5% of Acronym jackets don't have a sling on them. Mainly those things that don't have a sling on them are like hoodies and t-shirts, and that's pretty much it. Everything else probably has a jacket sling on it. The jacket sling is not new news outside of the acronym like world. Helmut Lang has had slings on his jackets that are backpack style. ACG has got backpack style slings on them, which was also helped out by Errolson, might I note. And other companies have utilized backpack slings on their jackets in the past while Acronym is doing stuff. But the way that Acronym does it, honestly, is just the most unique and easily my favorite variation of a backpack or jacket style sling that there is. Like I said earlier, it's a 3-point sling. So the way that it works is that the sling itself, the nylon band, goes through 3 different anchor points that are on the jacket. 2 on the medial sides of the body and 1 up at the collar. The way that it works is that you can Velcro the sling to the neck and then one of those holes. And then how it works is that once you take the jacket off and you make the sling taut, you can pull it over your body, use the pull tab that is a part of the sling, and fasten it quickly to your body. So it sits like a cape on your back, it sits up tight, and it sits in a way that is profiled to your body so that it doesn't go swinging everywhere and touches the ground. Easily the best iteration of a jacket sling in my opinion compared to like backpack slings or something like that. The way that this works and the way that you can kind of use it in this modular sense, have it a little bit looser, have it a little bit tighter. The way that you can have it work to your body is king, and it makes it really awesome to use. The older jackets typically only had mounts that were inside the jacket, as you can see here. This jacket's from fall winter 12 going on spring 13. It's a little bit of an older iteration and it only has mounts that are on the inside, but a lot of the newer jackets not only have a mount that is available on the inside like you see here, but they also have outside mounts as well, which allows you to have that strap detail be visible when you're walking around doing your thing. But it's not only aesthetically pleasing, it's also got a little bit of a functionality to it. Let me say that, like, let's say that I was like outside in the rain and I was wearing this jacket. If I use the sling on the inside to don it on my back while the outside shell is wet, the way that this works is that the outside shell kind of stays outside to the elements. It doesn't fold in on itself. So that allows a lot of the water to kind of fall off naturally and hit whatever it is while the jacket is slinged over my back. Whereas if the sling is on the outside, it makes the shell kind of fold in on itself. So the water stays kind of contained and it doesn't really get everywhere, yes, but it might not necessarily be able to dry as quickly because the water is kind of up against itself. That's my thought process on it, at least. I had a jacket that had the outside sling. I had a couple. And I always like to have it on the outside because it's just a cool little aesthetic detail. But there's implicit functionality in having it on the outside or the inside, and the modularity there is fun to use. Another fun little detail is that my sling is olive, which is a little bit of a rarer detail. A lot of old jackets had olive slings, but the newer variants only have olive slings if the color itself is olive. I ended up losing the sling on one of my jackets, and I got in contact with Acronym, and they asked, do you want a black one or do you want an olive one? And I said, olive. And now I've got this cool little pop of color whenever I decide to sling the jacket over my body, and I dig it. I dig it a lot. So yeah, that's probably easily one of my most favorite functions that an Acronym jacket has. You're in hot weather, you can sling it on your back. You come inside, you don't want the jacket to be all wet on you and just sitting in a cold, wet jacket. You sling it over your back. It's so useful in such a variety of situations. I think it's easily one of the most. I think it's probably the best Acronym functionality that there is, but that's just my opinion. So moving from the jacket sling, the kind of last detail that I want to go over that's not super high octane, but I think it's worth noting nonetheless, are these little elbow details that we can see right here. These are little elbow Velcro patches. The way that these work is that if you have Velcro cuffs on your jacket, you can roll the cuff up to your elbow. Then you can use these little Velcro patches to attach the Velcro from the elbow patch to the Velcro on your cuff. So then that way it keeps it anchored to your elbow, like physically, instead of you just hoping that rolling it up like that keeps it tight around your elbow. I think it's cool. It doesn't really work super well on a Stotts jacket because the material quality is so robust, but it's cool nonetheless because you can find yourself using it in a situation where you don't want your hands to get wet, you don't want your sleeves to get wet, so you can roll it up there and it works nonetheless. I find it works a lot better on Gore-Tex jackets because that material is a lot thinner, but it's cool to have on this jacket. So that's all the details of this J30. I hope the B-roll and my explanation of it gives you some scope as to what you get when you get an Acronym jacket. And the thing that I love about this jacket and the way that I like to wear it is honestly like a multitude of reasons, which I'm gonna get into now. This jacket is definitely unique. It definitely leans more towards the kind of like neo or the military or the kind of utilitarian aesthetic, but it honestly can find itself in other aesthetics as well. When I first got this and I was really more into more avant-garde stuff like Yohji Yamamoto and Julius and a bit more drapey kind of things, the length of this coat and the way that it sits on the body still worked really well in those situations. And it gave the material difference that I had while I was wearing all that stuff just a little bit of edge. A lot of those avant-garde designers use like leathers and silks and a lot of more flowy materials besides like leather, of course. And so to have something that's in this really kind of rugged, rigid cotton is nice, and it's a little bit of a quality difference. On top of that, like I mentioned, this jacket is from fall winter 12 going on spring 13. This is an 8-year-old jacket and it still looks pretty dang new. It looks like a kind of jacket that I've probably worn like every day for like a year. And there is like some patina on this thing for sure, but it's patina that I like, and it's patina that looks good, and it's the sort of thing that like a lot of people go for when they're looking at vintage garments nowadays. It just has these minute details that show that it's been worn, but it's not holes, it's not destroyed, it's not losing any functionality. It's just like seeing like little like shiny hits on your cuffs, or seeing like little like wrinkles that develop because of the way that your shoulder sits inside of the jacket. It's stuff like that that I really like about this coat. And the thing that I also love is that it's something that I can just kind of repair and kind of keep building on, so that I develop this sort of wabi-sabi to the jacket itself. On top of that, I've said it in other videos, but this is a cotton shell, and the way that a cotton shell works in a climate like California is just awesome. It's really breathable. It's a Ventile cotton, like I mentioned earlier, and it just works in a variety of weather conditions that works really well for California climate compared to something that's a little bit more rain oriented like Gore-Tex or something similar. So there's a multitude of reasons that I love this coat, but honestly, I can't list them all. I could go on for days and days about all the specific stuff about this jacket, but it's easily one of my favorites, and I've kept it for a long time because of all those reasons. So I think that's pretty much it. I could tell you about the minute tags, I could tell you about the little flap detailing it's got here, but I think I'm pretty much done. This jacket kind of speaks for itself, and I hope I was able to kind of, you know, talk about it all in a decent way. I know this has been a lot of rambling, but I just kind of wanted to get it out there, you know what I mean? This jacket is tight, and I have other ones that I want to share, and yeah, bro, Acronym's cool. And I think that there's like a secrecy around the brand that a lot of people like, but sometimes just cataloging this sort of thing is useful for people, and it could get more people into it, and I think it's worth talking about. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a first for me. I know I talked a lot, but I wanted to talk about it nonetheless, and yeah, cool jacket. I hope you guys stay tuned for more stuff that I have in the near future, and I think I say stay stylish at the end of my videos, but whatever, bro. Just do your thing. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.